Across 3 states, it's footy fever. From Sydney's west, the Penrith Panthers are going for their 3rd consecutive title.
Melbourne's abuzz with Collingwood fever.
Standing in the way of both teams, Brisbane. The Broncos, transformed since they won the wooden spoon just 3 seasons ago, and the Lions, in their first grand final in nearly 20 years.
The great narrative, if you want one, is the sporting spotlight is focusing on Brisbane like never before. Both teams in the big one, the big dance as the rugby league call it, or the granny as the AFL people call it, and both Brisbane teams are in it. Now, I can't remember this happening before.
In both codes, the season's best teams are there right at the end.
This has a spirit of rightness, for want of a better way of putting it. You don't want an upstart team coming along and thinking, can they make it from 6th place or something like that, because the 2 dominant teams in the year are playing off in the grand final.
In the AFL, coach Chris Fagan has had the audacity to lead his squad to the grand final without ever playing at the top level.
He might be the only one in the modern era who is coaching at the highest level, never having played the game. Obviously, he played at a junior level or maybe even at a senior level, but never played AFL or VFL.
Where do you stand on the very serious sporting question of who's better looking, Reece Walsh or Nathan Cleary?
I don't think I can answer your question, I'm afraid.
They're all hot.
They're all hot.
They're all hot to us.
Yeah. I mean, if you like someone with a solid jaw, Cleary's your man. Now, a lot of people are attracted to a chap's jaw. That's the first thing they look at. They love it. But who's the other?
Reece Walsh.
Reece Walsh. Yes. Yeah. Well, he's got the smile, hasn't he?
Of course, on a week when the codes go head-to-head, how do they compare when it comes to how many are watching? This year, the average attendance at AFL games was about 37,000.
And for rugby league, there were about 19,000 in the average crowd.
About 2.1 million people watched last year's AFL Grand Final.
And 1.6 million watched the rugby league version. But more than 3 million tuned in for State of Origin. Spot! She sends it straight through! But none of those numbers compare to the year's ratings champ, the Matildas.
It was echoes of the Olympic Games, really. There was a general move. Everyone got behind the Matildas. It was a wonderful thing.
Collingwood are into the grand final. The 2 codes are evenly matched for TV audiences, but the AFL gets lots more people to the ground.
The AFL is a much better game to be enjoyed live, whereas rugby league is a much better game enjoyed on television. So people don't bother going because they'll stay home and watch it on TV.
Seeing as this is the biggest week of the year for footy, it's hard not to think about the wonder of grand final entertainment and the interesting choices both codes have made over the years. When Angry Anderson belted it out in the AFL Grand Final 32 years ago, even those part of the halftime show looked thoroughly unimpressed.
It's a lesson we learn.
And on the NRL side, well, who could forget the cast of Neighbours singing the national anthem? There's been a history of, shall we say, scratchy grand final entertainment. How have both codes managed to get it so wrong so often?
Because they're footballers.
Well,
They're not rock promoters. They're not people who are bothered by having to come up with the money at the door to pay for kids.
yeah, they're on a hiding to nothing, really, aren't they? Because people aren't there to see them. They're only there for the football. They're interested if something goes wrong. And mercifully, often things do go wrong.
Would you take me places I've never known? Like into the I know the territory I've been around.
Well, he probably had never seen the MCG before he came.
a bit daunted by the circumstance.
The size of the crowd.
Yeah.
The fact that most of the crowd could sing the songs better than he could, which I'd find that fairly embarrassing. And of course, he was stuck in a spot which was sort of
Bit out of the way.
out of the way. Yeah, I couldn't put it better.
Yeah.
Is he really here? If so, where is he? I could
Yeah,
hear
no
him,
one
but-
could see him. Billy Idol was my favourite, who arrived in a hovercraft, full of tude, ready to perform. So out he came. Why he was on a hovercraft, I've no idea. But it looked great. Yeah. Looked great. And he was all set to go off like a cracker. Sadly, the microphone didn't work, so the hovercraft just had to wheel him out into the sound of crickets. Beep, 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 beep. People were happy. They'd seen something very special.
OK, so Billy Idol not having the best of nights on grand final night.
This year, the AFL's commitment to aging rockers continues, with a New York band formed 50 years ago.
Then you get to this year, and we've got Kiss, who are, getting on, let's face it, and have probably a catalogue of, say, 10 hits that they could play, so they could come out and sing bits of those, and then maybe put on a show after the match is over with the pyrotechnics and, all the clobber that Kiss have become famous for. The Rugby League...
We've got Tina the Musical.
This weekend, this stadium becomes either a site of redemption or a venue for that extraordinarily rare feat. 3 titles in a row. And there'll be drama at the AFL too.
2 codes, 2 grand finals, 1 huge sports weekend.
Got it.